the level of brainwashing
Yeah.
that goes on with the Israeli population. They're fed like baby birds, the worm of Zionism from birth. So much so that it's easy for them to commit these atrocities. We had interviewed people behind the medical complex, the Nasser Medical Complex. There's a large field that was a grassed area with palm trees, and like many hospitals have, it's a courtyard for people to relax in. It was turned into a mass grave by the Israelis. People who witnessed people being buried in these graves told us a story, which we're pursuing with the ICJ now, of him witnessing two children being pushed into the mass grave by Israeli soldiers with a bulldozer, and then their cries being muffled by the dirt that was poured upon them while they were being buried alive. And then when the bodies were excavated, the red and green shirts of these kids, whose hands were tied behind their backs, uh, were found. That type of monstrousness, that level of heinous uh, behavior, can only happen if your hatred is formulated by design from your birth, right? Because these were accountants, these were laboratory workers, these were normal bankers. The soldiers that are called up to do these things were normal Israelis, and that's why when you look at the polls of the Israeli population, they're overwhelmingly in favor of the complete destruction of Gaza, because they were collectively uh, brainwashed into thinking that all Palestinians are nothing but monsters and terrorists and out to kill every single Israeli. And so the only recourse is to in turn kill them. There is no common ground. The only good Palestinian to most Israelis is a dead Palestinian. And the only reason why they need to be dead is because I want your land, right? A Jew of European descent, an Ashkenazi Jew, um, has more rights to land in the West Bank. I can go there now and claim land in the West Bank, and I have more right to it. So could you. More right to it than a Palestinian whose family has lived there for 1,000 years. I could displace them, and the Israeli police will support me in even killing the Palestinian who applies for that.
Even to the point of them being internationally known, like, just in the past
Right.
few weeks, an American from Tampa, a 20-year-old guy whose name I'm embarrassed to say, I don't remember, has been beaten to death. I mean, literally, quite literally beaten to death. And then the ambulance that was sent was had a brick or a cinder block thrown through its window to stop it from going to get him. The he's, I think,
Kamel Musalet.
that sounds right.
20 years old, was visiting.
20 years old. He owned an ice cream shop with his dad in Tampa.
That's by settlers. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the sixth or seventh Palestinian American who's been killed in the West Bank. Forget Gaza. Nobody has any clue how many Palestinian Americans have been killed in Gaza. But he's the sixth or seventh that's been killed since October 7th, just in the West Bank. This is including, like, I forget, an 11 or 13-year-old boy who was machine gunned. I mean, it's completely crazy. The level of, like Mark said, the level of dehumanization that's very, it's unfortunate, but is really very deep in the psyche of a lot of Israelis. Certainly not all of them, but a lot. Unfortunately, probably something like a majority.
And vast majority, I would say.
It's a large majority, yeah. I mean, it seems that way from polls. I don't want to make
sure. Okay, yes.
Israeli society, which I don't know much about, to be honest. But I have lived there, but I can't.
Polls suggest, yeah.
Polls do, and they do, and then pretty consistently, unfortunately. But this. I just want to make sure people understand. That's why we matter here. Like, we meaning Americans. We can continue pouring fuel on this fire, right? We can just keep giving more weapons and more weapons and more weapons and more weapons. And then they'll keep shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. But if we stop the flow of weapons and the Israelis all of a sudden realize that they're not all powerful, that military violence actually has its limits, because Uncle Sam is not going to provide people need to understand, Israel doesn't make airplanes. Israel doesn't make humongous munitions like 2,000-pound bombs. Israel produces bullets and Israel produces drones, but they're not going to be able to repress a population that's basically the same size as the Israeli Jewish population, and they would have to come to some kind of reasonable agreement with them, whatever that would be. That's up to them. But we're just pouring fuel on the fire. And for people who are old enough and can remember the kind of flailings of apartheid South Africa at the end of apartheid, we backed their invasion of Namibia, we backed their invasion of Mozambique, killing 1 million or 2 million people. I mean, just an absolutely outrageous series of crimes as this white empire slowly died. But we don't have to do it that way. We could just stop providing the weapons now, and we could do this in some sort of controlled fashion where less people die and fewer people starve. And, would it turn into some paradise? No. And that's not, like, South Africa is not some wonderful place to live, but it's way better than what it used to be. And more importantly, we're not fueling this conflict anymore, and it can be resolved in some way by the people who actually live there and have to deal with it.
Right. Well, anything else that you want to make sure that we cover?
Study the difference between Judaism and Zionism to understand that you can be an absolutely marvelous Jew by hating Zionism.
It's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to hate Zionism.
That's right. The same way that it would have been just fine to be a proud German and hate Nazis.
More than fine. The righteous thing.
Mark, when you told Palestinians in Gaza that you were Jewish, what would happen?
I'd get hugged. They would flock around me. I wore my father's mezuzah around my neck, and when it would fall out, an old man would come and grab it and kiss it. Their respect for Jews is immense. Their dislike for Israel is huge, but their respect for Judaism and Jews is unquestionably one of high respect. In fact, I interviewed an imam in a mosque that was bombed, and 65 kids were killed in that mosque bombing because the mosques were schools. And there's 12 kids left, 15 kids left, and they're all studying in different parts of it, but they're all saying the same thing. Even though they're 15 or 20 feet apart, they're all reading in unison. And so I asked the imam, what are they reading a prayer? What are they saying? And he goes, they're all praying for Israel. And they're praying for the Israelis, that they somehow regain their closeness to God, that they're lost souls. They weren't praying for their families. They weren't praying for food. They were praying for the people that had killed all their classmates, 3/4 of their classmates, just a month before.
Somehow, the Palestinians have maintained the distinction in their minds between Israelis and Jews.